Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us. We're now just 69 days out from the 2024 election, and it's arguably one of the most consequential elections of our lifetime, if not the most. On the Republican side, you have a man with a proven record of success and greatness. On the Democrat side, you have a candidate who has never received one vote from the American people in a primary. Plain and simple, she stole the nomination from Joe Biden. Very democratic of her. So what can we expect in November? Will it be the same chaos that ensued in 2020, with 46% of the population voting by mail or absentee, according to Pew Research? According to that same survey, 67% of Trump voters say they voted in person, while 42% of Biden voters say they voted by mail. Just 17% of those Biden voters say they voted in person on Election Day. All these numbers led to Joe Biden, the most unpopular candidate in history, breaking Obama's record for the most votes ever cast for a U.S. presidential candidate, just over 81 million. According to Real Clear Politics Average, Kamala Harris' approval rating currently sits at 41%. So what can we expect come November? To take all this up and much more, our guest today is Mike Lindell, a man who has been fighting on the front lines every single day to make sure our elections are safe and secure from fraud. Mike, it's great to have you with us. First, I want to begin with, last time I saw you, you had a mustache. Is this the real Mike Lindell?
Right on. Yeah, that was quite a week last week with the DNC. What people don't realize, I knew it would get media attention all over the country and world, for that matter, and it did. But it was to get attention for the following day, to get attention for a platform, Frank Speech. So the following day, we actually filmed Democrats that voted for Biden and now are switching to Donald Trump. That was the big play, but they took the bait. They took the bait. I was in there for 5 hours in the DNC, but we filmed on Thursday with those Democrats, just amazing, upwards of 100, and all the reasons that came out of their mouth why they're switching was just so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any debate on who's better for this country and what's better for this country. Give us a little rundown, if you will, for those of us who didn't follow the DNC, who wanted to keep our sanity. What went on there? What did you see? I saw, a 2-second video of you on War Room where you had some kid coming up to you trolling you, and then the headlines are all of a sudden, Mike Lindell fights with a 12-year-old kid, because that's a great.
Yeah, exactly. They had setup after setup. They had five cameras that came from different angles. I was on the War Room, and that kid, he's actually about 18, Harry Sassoon or something. He's a hired hitman where they hit attack dog for their social media, and then later on it was they say the 12-year-old kid. He actually came up asking me the question, and they just sound bit kind of out of there. He was saying, well, you don't have any evidence. You don't have any evidence. And I'm going, well, we're beyond that. We're going to go to paper ballots, hand counted. That's where we need to get to as a country. Well, then he kept calling me a liar. And I go, you know what? What state are you from? He said, Georgia. I said, well, just last week, there was over 250,000 ballot images that are missing from 2020. And he goes, yeah, am I supposed to trust you? And I think he said, I'm just supposed to trust me, bro. That's what he said. And so the media picked up on all that, but I think people see through all that garbage. And like you see, that's not why I was in there. I was in there for the media attention and to get the word out that there is a lot of hope. We have a great plan to secure our elections. And we're obviously not going to be like 132 countries are that have banned the electronic voting machines in this, in our election coming up. But I want to tell you about the DNC. When I went in there, I had protesters out there that they all, quit protesting and these are the Palestinian protests, put their stuff down to take pictures with me. Any of the protesters outside, it was like I would break up a protest, Well, I get inside the DNC, and I'm telling you, the feeling was a feeling of hopelessness, sadness. It was just like angry, people just being angry. It was like a godless, very godless. I mean, it was like there was, in fact, I got in an argument with one of the reporters in there, and I brought up, I said, you know what, I'm going to pray for you. I said, you realize we're in the greatest revival for Jesus Christ ever. And I get done with them, and this guy comes up, he goes, I've been coming to these for years. I've never heard Jesus mentioned.
Right. Well, you heard President Trump's name mentioned 180 or so times, maybe over 200 after the last time I checked. The Democrats get infatuated on certain things, and you're one of them. I mean, I think you're probably one of the most fascinating people I know. You've always got the greatest stories in the world. Why are these people so obsessed? And by these people, I mean the Democrats, the Marxists. Why are they so obsessed with you? Why are they so obsessed with President Trump?
They fear
what is their issue?
Right. The biggest fear is, when I was attacked in 2021, when I got the evidence on January 9th, and I never let up the gas, I was just all about getting the word out. And if I didn't have the left attacking me, I wouldn't be able to get the word out. That's why I formed frankspeech.com. That's why I made the network, Frank Speech Broadcast Network.
Right.
I knew we had lost the Fox Newses, the Newsmax, the Salem media. They're not going to talk about any hope we have with our elections whatsoever. And when I announced last August a plan to secure our elections, man, they've turned up the heat, attacking My Pillow and me. It's now the highest it's ever been, everybody. My Pillow has just keeps getting attacked and decimated every day. But just last week, before the DNC, the Attorney General, Keith Ellison of the state of Minnesota, probably because I was out there telling everybody Tim Walz is really like, you Google evil. And
you're a governor, huh?
Yeah. But they've attacked, Keith Ellison now has come after my Lindell Recovery Network for Addicts, my foundation, my outreach program, just all in this stacks like this. The lawyers say to me, well, we got to do all this discovery and stuff. I said, you know what? We got to get outside counsel. I said, no, you two are going to handle it. And I said, just this stuff, I'm not going to be distracted by it. I've done nothing wrong. Take care of it. And this is what they've done. They fear me because I want to get rid of their tool that's used to steal elections, and that is electronic voting machines. We had 132 countries have banned them, and we just had one recently, as a year ago. That was the most recent one that banned them, was Argentina. And
Right.
One judge made a ruling, let's get rid of these things, they're bad.
Right.
And boom, paper ballots within 4
Right.
months, hand counted. When you see things like Virginia get out last week and brag, we're the best elections platforms in the country, we have paper ballots. Well, so does every other state. I hate to rain on your parade, Virginia, but they're counted by tabulators, computerized tabulators connected to the internet. That's the difference. Anyone could say, well, we have paper ballots. It's how they're counted, and we can't have these electronic machines. So we have a great plan, and that's why they're coming after me. They don't like the plan I have. I know that. When I announced to tell everyone to secure your ballot, get your mail-in ballot, don't open it. Everybody's got to do this. Get your mail-in ballot. Do not open it. When you go to vote on election day and they say you've already voted, you say, no, I have not. And now it becomes identity theft. We're going to have in all 50 states and all 3,143 counties examples of that. I would hope if you're a Democrat or a Republican, either one, that you're just a person in a county and you hear one of your friends or family that they told them they already voted and they had that. You better, you're going to want to take action yourself and say, hey, we've got to get rid of these things. And
Mike, I was talking with my mother the other day, and they're New Yorkers, and she had said, well, what difference does it make if I go out and vote? We live in New York. Trump can never win New York. And I say, it's the mentality like that sets people off. It's the reason he can't win New York. I worked in politics for a long time before I got into journalism. And our rule of thumb was, for every one person you go out and vote, you go pick up 3 to 5 of your friends. When you come in masses like that, Mike, that's when you beat them at the ballot box. In 2020, it was abnormal. Like I said, we had 40-something% of people voting by mail. That's not going to be this election. I think even these states where you've got rhinos like Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger down in Georgia and Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, I think these states have started to tighten up a little bit. And there's pressure now, I think, from the RNC. Laura Trump did an interview on Fox Business the other day. She says that the RNC has now recruited 165,000 volunteers as poll watchers. 500 lawyers will be on the ground in every battleground state on election night. They are having a problem in Michigan, go figure, no less. 700 poll workers, Republican poll workers went for jobs in Wayne County, which is Detroit. Only 50 of them were selected. 2,300 Democrats. When you have things like that happen, how do you possibly fight against the potential of fraud?
Well, that's what I just told you. That's why we have to secure them mail-in ballots. You got to remember, by the way, the first thing you said, I live in Minnesota. We've been blue since 1972. Okay. We in the last election, Donald Trump actually won in 16 and 2020, according to the cast vote records and the records we have out there with our elections. Now, I want to say this: how do you combat that? You secure that belt. We have when Laura says, yeah, there's lawyers on the ground and everything. We also have stuff we put in place, especially in Michigan. You know, you can't see what goes on inside these machines, but what we need is a gateway to get in there that we didn't have before. We were blocked at every level in the 2020 election. No judge ruled up based on merit. Certainly couldn't open up these voting machines because are you kidding? It's proprietary technology. Now we have legal things put into place where we're going to be able to do that if they do these things, which we know they're going to do. Michigan, so many things got put in illegally in Michigan by the Secretary of State and the governor, where legislatures make the laws, not those guys. And they stuck in things like, hey, let's sprinkle 6 million, every person in Michigan, sprinkle out these red voter registration ballots all over Michigan. All these things have been looked at in every single state. We've set up the best things we can based on the footprint we have. So I encourage everybody to go to lindellplan.com and check out your state, see what you can do, and get involved. But it's preventative. We're very proactive and being proactive, getting ready for this election, because just having poll watchers, you also need a gateway. You can't see what goes on inside these voting machines. And then you have the dirty voter roll. Right. When you threw out that statistic that 43% or whatever has voted for Biden with all these mail-in, remember that number's a lot lower. It's a lot lower if they're real votes.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And if not, everybody's getting a mail-in ballot.
That's right. And I want to say this to everybody. They asked me, I just did 3 speaking events, one in Alabama, Colorado, Chicago, all back to back to back. And every one of them, they said, Mike, what's going to happen in this election? They said, well, for the first place, they've got to steal an extra 10 million votes. I mean, you got Biden getting 82 million that they say that's a joke. He really got about 67, and Donald Trump got the actual 82. So they're going to steal this, and the deviations are going to be huge. What I want everybody to do, pay attention to the real polls out there, like Rasmussen, Telfinger, these polls. If you watch Fox polls or ABC, you watch these, they're lying. These polls are saying Pennsylvania is a dead heat between Kamala and Trump. These are lying. They have to brainwash you so that you think that this could be possible. I mean,
Mike, I got to tell you, if there's a dead heat in Pennsylvania, the voters are just plain stupid, because what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have done to this country, I mean, it's beyond repair. If we don't win in November, I don't think there'll be a country here. We're going to take a quick break here.
And do you know that when people seen all these deviations and stuff that happened in the 2020 election, they brushed them off each time, saying, well, that could have happened. That could have happened. Well, here's things that weren't looked at that impossible. Pennsylvania had more votes than voters, everybody, and they turned in their electors. That's illegal. That was Texas versus Pennsylvania, and they threw it out for no standing. I mean, give me a break. This was they turned in their electors. More votes than voters. That's going to happen everywhere if they have to get these, because they're going to have to use illegal names. They're going to have to use people that are deceased, people don't live there, and not just in Pennsylvania, other places. You're going to see things like you've seen where Michigan, 106,000 votes came down in the middle of the night for Biden on November 4th, 3,000 for Donald Trump. What did the media tell us? Fox News says, you know what? Those darn mail-in votes, boy, those inner city and all this stuff. And the blacks and Hispanics, no. The mail-in votes in Michigan were counted on the morning of the 3rd, not in the middle of the night on the 4th. Well, this time around, maybe somebody would ask, hey, explain yourself. It's just like if I was going to give the whole country China virus 2.0, no one would tolerate all the garbage we did with that virus. Like in Minnesota, where Tim Walz made us eat out in snowbanks instead of inside the restaurant, or he made us only have 10 people in our house for Thanksgiving, or the neighbors could turn you in if you had more than 10, they turn you in. You did 90 days in jail. He gave
Yeah.
us 2 extra for Christmas. These are
Right.
the nonsense that went on. No one would tolerate it. But
Right.
in same way with election crime 2.0, no one's going to tolerate this stuff. So if I was their marketer, I would have a very hard time even marketing like Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to fix everything that we wrecked in 3.5 years. I mean, how do you market them? It's crazy. Like when I was at the DNC, I'm asking people inside there. I go, if you were their marketer, how would you market Kamala Harris?
Right.
They can't bash Trump anymore. They can't
Right.
bash him because he has proof of concept. You go to
Right.
December of 2019, you have proof of concept. So how do
Right.
you market something like that? How do you
Right.
market a stolen election again? Once if they do the same stuff, no one, judges, everyone's going to call them out and say, we're going to open up these machines, we're going to open up these elections, and we want to see what happens. The best scenario for me is Donald Trump. Everybody's got to get out and vote, by the way. You said it right. We got to overrun these algorithms. Donald Trump needs to win. He has said straight out, Mike, or he's told the country, he said, we got to go to paper ballots, hand counted, same day voting. In order for him to do that, we want these, and we want this election question regardless, so we can
Right.
open up and see. Hey, wouldn't you want to see if you're running a race in the Indianapolis 500? Wouldn't you want to make sure all the cars are running? If everyone says they had the engines or something wrong, wouldn't you want to
Yeah.
make sure that you look into it or recall them, or I look at these
Yeah.
things. This is what's going to happen.
Mike, I want to take a quick break here. When we come back, I want to talk about the differences that we're seeing now in this 2024 race that we saw in 2020 or we didn't see. I also want to take up Merrick Garland holding a press conference over the weekend, threatening anybody who dare challenge the 2024 election. You're going to want to hear this. It's pretty sick. We're coming right back. We're back. We're talking with Mike Lindell. And Mike, right before we went to break, we were talking about the differences between 2024 and 2020. What do you see as you're out there on the ground each and every day speaking to all these people, preparation-wise, that's better now in 2024? Because, I mean, I see it everywhere that people are engaged. People understand what happened in 2020. And we've had 4 years now to prepare. So there's no excuse. If the Republicans blow this election the same way it was blown in 2020, they're done.
It won't be.
That's it.
It won't be. I have like my Cause of America, and we just partnered up with True to Vote, and but we have all these. We're like a hub of wheel. Goes out to over 300,000 people. We're in every county in the United States. We have stuff in play. Like I said, go to lindellplan.com. Everybody get there. Get that Frank Social app too. You're going to need that. I think everybody's gonna get involved, and over the last 3.5 years, everything we've learned has prepared us for now. Okay,
Right.
and prepared us for now. I've said it before. If 2020 hadn't happened, we'd have lost our country forever, because we've learned so much over the last 3.5 years. We've learned where the uniparty, learned where the bad guys are, like Brad Rassenberger and Robin Voss of Wisconsin, and these blockers that we've had. Remember, everybody, I've been blocked by more uniparty Republicans than anything to get these elections secure. We're in a million times better position than we are now. But it's because of 2020, of everything we've learned the last 3.5 years. And, if they would have overturned 2020 way back then, we'd have lost our country. I firmly believe that, because we had to go through all this and learn all these things in order for this election to happen. And you know what? Anything that they try again or do again, this time it will be, justice will be done, as far as I'm concerned.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that. But if it does, Merrick Garland is prepared. He did a press conference over the weekend where he's threatening anybody who dare challenge the 2024 election or take part in any sort of discourse against the government or question any part of the government. You're going to end up like one of the 1,500, he says 1,500 political prisoners from January 6th. I mean, how is that America, Mike? That's something you don't even see in Venezuela.
No, it's not. Well, you do see it down in Venezuela. I've talked to Venezuela underground. I've talked to many, many times over the last 3.5 years, and that's what it would become here. They, when you get to a Nazi Germany where you can turn people, like Waltz did in Minnesota, you're going to be turned in, and you're going to do 90 days in jail because you have too many of your family members in your house. I mean, what he's suggesting there This should just get people so fired up and upset. Remember when they took my phone at a Hardee's restaurant, I told that FBI, I want to go to the January 6th committee. I want to reveal it. I want to go to jail. I wanted to get the word out. So you think that him threatening me with going to jail is going to stop my big mouth? It ain't happening. It's not happening. This country needs to get to paper ballots, hand counted. Over 100 countries, by the way, have banned early voting and mail-in voting. 132 countries have banned computers in election. We have the worst election platforms in history, the worst. And so for him to threaten that, but that's the narrative. Go out to people. What he's trying to do, get the masses to just stay meek and kill their voices and stop them from even speaking out and say, hey, there's a problem here. We need to fix it.
Right.
That would be just like Brazil. What happened in Brazil, everybody, 2 years ago when my good friend President Bolsonaro, when they stole his election with Lula fresh out of prison, they did the same thing there. If you spoke out about the election, they put you in jail.
Right. Well, we're not far behind. I think I would argue with you that even in some cases we're worse. You have people. I spoke to a J6 political prisoner the other day. He reached out to me from jail. That he's still in jail. Years with no trial. How is that America?
It is bizarre.
How do we not have Democrats speaking out against it?
Yeah, you would think. Well, it's funny how they even quiet when the Amy Klobuchar and Kamala Harris, they were against electronic voting machines, and she even named them, and she never got sued. Amy never got sued. I got sued for billions.
I think they were both in the movie Kill Chain, weren't they?
Yeah, they were on the movie Kill Chain. Everybody, that was at the DNC, and they're going, "Oh, they weren't against the machines." I go, Go watch the movie. In 2019, every Democrat says we got to get rid of these machines. They've been saying it for 2 decades. Yeah. And but you see all those. What a shame the times we're in when you're not even at trial. And I'm going to tell you, John, this actually happened to me in one of my cases. Not as bad as sitting in prison for 3.5 years, but on one of my cases, it's the one in Colorado. Eric Coomer, he sued me. I didn't even know who this guy was. Seriously, didn't know who he was. It's the most frivolous case in history. By the time I seen that was 9 months. After 9 months, I hadn't even opened up and looked at the case because I got so many lawsuits over here. I open it up. I go, I don't even know this guy. This is crazy. Why didn't we put in for a dismissal? Now, my lawyers say we did put in for a dismissal. That was in the summer of 22. So almost a year later, the judge did not rule on the dismissal. She we're just going to go to discovery and stuff. I got so mad at that judge. This is when I told off the lawyer in the room. We all know about that. And then the judge said, he goes, Mike, a judge is going to see this. I said, I got a big problem with Judge Wang too. Her name is Wang in Colorado. You either make a decision, you don't ruin our country. And, that's why you have dismissals to put it that you can apply for a dismissal. Because what if you weren't even there? A complete identity. It's the wrong person. Right?
Well, Mike, it's all part of the plan. It's all part of for anyone who's never been involved in a lawsuit, discovery costs hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands. And if that judge, if everybody did what that judge did, you'd ruin our country. People that didn't have money to fight it would go broke. They'd be guilty of everything. You throw them in jail, throw them in prison. So what I did, I said, Judge Wang, you make a decision. I got on my show and ripped into that Colorado judge. And my lawyers were going, oh, don't do that. Don't do that. I said, I don't care. I said, Judge Wang, you make a decision. And she did. She ruled against me, but at least she made a ruling. Okay. Yeah. At least she made a ruling. Right now, she's sitting on my summary judgment for almost a half a year, but at least I don't have more discovery going on. You know what I mean? Right. I mean, it's disgusting, you guys. And if people don't make stands and just get run over by this, this is where we're at. We'll be the worst country in the world, and it's over.
People don't realize the damage it does to people, and just because you have money doesn't mean it's right. I mean, I watched all your depositions, and it made me respect you even more because for anybody who's never met Mike is the same person on camera that he is in person. I mean, there's no difference in the guy. Lou used to always call me when he'd get off the phone with Mike, and he'd say, "Man, that Mike Lindell is crazier than hell." And Mike and Lou admired you, Mike. He really adored you.
Oh, I miss Lou. Yeah,
we all do. We all do. But just the direction America's moving in, this lawfare, these corrupt judges. It's happening now over in Europe. You have the CEO of Telegram getting off a flight, and
Right.
getting arrested for his app for lack of moderation. I mean, is that's what's you own Frank's Speech, Mike? You're very
Yeah.
involved in your
Yeah.
companies. Is that's what's coming to America?
Yeah. Isn't that something? So that what did they arrest him for? Because he
Lack of moderation for not moderating his app, Telegram.
unreal. I mean, where's our free speech go to? This is Nazi Germany, people. This is Nazi Germany. It's
Yep.
like you're going to tell me what I can do with my own voice.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. But yet nobody said anything when old Jack Dorsey was over there with Twitter censoring everybody, putting false things. You don't see that anymore. I was just with the
Yep.
Facebook fact checker, Alan Duke. And I go, Alan, you don't cover any of my stuff up anymore. So because you figured it was all true and you don't cover it anymore. But boy, back then when it did the most damage, when they covered everything up back then, which turns out, like I say, to be a blessing, because if it would have overturned it back then, we wouldn't have found everything out that we needed to find out over 3.5 years. But you got him and Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook and the things that they're doing, controlling it that way. But then you're going to go after other other platforms and other voices. Remember, John, I want to say this to everyone. We started winning, everybody, on the morning of January 9th. On January 7th and 8th of 2021, 1.2 million Americans were deplatformed.
Right.
Parler was wiped off the face of the planet, the platform Parler. And then you had, like, our president lost 100 million, our great real president, people on Twitter. That was the day they tried to kill our voice forever, but it didn't happen. All these things spun up. The podcasters around the world spoke up, started speaking out. You had platforms like Frank Speech, Frank Social, True Social, Getter, Gab, Telegram. All these things spun up,
Yep.
so you get your information from other places now instead of CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC.
And for anyone who hasn't seen TV ratings lately, I've followed them. I was with Lou at Fox News for years. TV ratings, I want to say around the time that Lou was canceled from Fox Business, have been in the drain. People are tuning them out. You look at some people, I saw a statistic today. Megyn Kelly's podcast is outperforming, I think it was CBS and ABC's total viewership combined. That's embarrassing, Mike. You've got these media conglomerates that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year going up against anybody can do a podcast, Mike. You get a camera and a microphone, and if you're good, people will like him, people will tune in. I mean, Joe Rogan started out in he had money, but he started out from nothing. All these people started out from nothing.
Well, that's what scared me when the media didn't quit attacking me. I'm going, wow, I can have all this information, and if I don't get attacked, and these outlets won't have me on anymore, and I have this big platform of notoriety. That's why that was the birth of Frank's Speech. That's where I went on. I said, I got to build my own platform that they can't cancel. So I bought my own servers. I put $10 million into it and said, here, that was just to be the most secure platform, just so I could keep talking. And, if they wanted to suppress, and just like the DNC, that's why I had to do the no mustache thing, because they wouldn't have talked to me there. They would have just said, the media would have said they've learned that I use them against themselves. That's how I get the word out. I go out to get attacked. So because they're so dumb in that way, they're going, let's go after Mike. And some of them, though, have become such good friends, John, that I have to tell them, hey, you got to bash me more in your article, or your boss isn't going to print it, or you're not going to. And they do. They got that Mike Lindell, that Trump loving, blah, blah, blah,
The sad part, the funny part about it, old Mike, is you're only half kidding.
Yeah, that's right.
It's truly sad, Mike, when you have a vice president who's now the presumptive nominee of the Democratic Party, who hasn't sat for a formal interview in 37 days. She's now asked for the debate to be seated with notes. I mean, it doesn't really get much more pathetic than that.
No.
Your final thoughts as we wrap up here, Mike?
Yeah, I think everybody just you really got to watch the polling, get involved, go to lindellplan.com. I'm telling you, this is the one time in history, too, you should easily be able to go out like I did, talk to everybody and to talk about our great real president, Donald Trump. Bring them back to December 19th and ask them how their lives were then, and say, how do you like us now? What's going on now? And if you bring them back, it should be the easiest time in history to go out and campaign and recruit people. and argue with people that are on the left, obviously the extreme ones out there. But remember, I believe this country is about 70% red. And I believe you can easily go, the nonsensical things going on actually help us even more than refreshing their memory about Donald Trump. You got transgenders running around the bathrooms. I went to the DNC and it was all gender bathrooms. I'm going, are you kidding me? But I had to go. I went in there and I'm going, you got to be kidding me. This is bizarre. What does the world come to?
Mike, I've got a new take on that, in which I've been telling everyone, and it's going to piss people off a lot. There's no such thing as transgender. It doesn't exist. It's not possible. You're born a male, you're born a female. That's it.
That's it. No, that is it. There is and that's the way God. That's the way God made it.
It's the easiest argument, Mike. It's the easiest argument.
Absolutely.
It's truly sad that what we've come to, Mike. But hopefully, with God's grace, in November, we right this ship and Donald Trump prevails.
That's absolutely right, everybody. Keep the faith. God's given us grace for such a time as this, where everybody's got a calling out there. Do your part, everybody. And when we get to the great place we're going, we're going to look back and say it was all on God's timing, and even the bad things had to happen just the way they did, because God uses all things for good. So God bless. Thanks for having me on, John.
Mike, you're a great American.
Yeah,
we all do. Thanks for being with us, Mike. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for being with us today. Please be sure to join us back here tomorrow for the Great America Show as our quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at John Fawcett NY and at Truth Social, John Fawcett. Shoot me a tweet. Let me know what you think of the show or what you want to hear more of. You could also email us at info@ludobs.com. We want to hear from you. See you back here tomorrow. God bless you. May God bless America, and may God bless the great Lou Dobbs.